Ho, 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 and welcome to the Football Unravelled Christmas pod. Today, we're taking somewhat of a festive turn, so we're going to be doing the famous Football Unravelled annual Christmas quiz. I'm suspecting this is probably just going to be four anoraks competing to show off their specific sad little knowledge they have about football. But hopefully it will be entertaining for anyone listening in around Christmas, perhaps with a glass of Baileys. I don't know the questions. I don't know the format of the quiz. The quizmaster is going to be my co-host and fellow stabler, my dad. Say hello, Dad.
Hello.
Have you got a good quiz for us in store?
I've got questions, Dan. Yes. I don't know whether it's a good quiz or not, but we'll see.
Okay. All right. I'm expecting Paxman. We're also joined once again by our other co-host, Owen. How are you doing, Owen?
Doing quite well, thank you. Looking forward to a nice, calm Christmas after a busy year.
Yeah. How does Christmas look for you?
Nice and relaxed, to be honest. Hopefully just a pause from work and education.
Yeah.
Nice pause in a busy year.
Yeah. Owen's a bit sick at the moment, so it's not going to be a buzz round, I think, for you in the quiz, I think, is it? Yeah. Quick word on Fulham.
Very pleased. We're playing today. Hopefully a nice win against Southampton is on the cards. But it's been a good year for Marco Silva and the team.
Yeah. Probably when this video goes out, you would have already lost. Would have already won, sorry. And we're also joined by our other co-host, John. How are you doing, John?
I'm good, thanks, Dan. Very good.
I'm still a bit sore about last week, so maybe we don't talk too much about Palace. But how's your Christmas prep going?
Yeah, Christmas is good. More or less finished off work bits, more or less finished presents. So I hope a fairly relaxed entree. I'm quite happy to make a pact not to talk about Palace after yesterday. So let's move on.
Yeah, great. Yeah, let's stick to the pact. Yes.
Yes.
First we're going to have, before the quiz, we're going to have a bit of a quick chat about the England national team, though. So in a few days, Thomas Tuchel will be taking over from Lee Carsley as head coach. And of course, we're all expecting that the insightful editors at the Daily Mail to revel in the fact that we no longer have an Irishman as the head coach of the English national team. But it's obviously an appointment which has excited many. He's a world-class coach, but it has also raised a rather jingoistic discussion on the importance of Tuchel's passport. So perhaps I'll open up the floor and maybe go to you, John. What do you think about Tuchel as the appointment practically, and what do you think it means for England, I guess, at the 2026 World Cup?
Yeah, interesting. I've been reflecting on this, and I saw your notes earlier, Dan, which was helpful just to focus my thinking a bit further. So you introduced him as a world-class manager, which he is, obviously. I just wonder, just as a man, before we get into any nationality and things, there's a kind of brittleness about him to me. He didn't comport himself particularly well towards the end at Chelsea, I don't think. And under the kind of pressure cooker of sometimes grossly unfair media pressure, if he loses a couple of games, then I think he'll walk. I just feel that he's got a brittleness about him, and I just wonder whether he'll stand up to. In Italy and in Spain, I think the pressures are similar media-wise. But in Britain, who knows? Let's see what he does. I mean, he knows about the British media because of Chelsea, of course. It doesn't matter a jot to me that he's German. I think we need to go into that a little bit more because, football, the national teams are going to inspire German nationalism, English nationalism, French nationalism, or whatever. And I do think that's a slightly more valid point. But he couldn't care less that he's German, and the Daily Mail can go and run and hide, as far as I'm concerned. So that's my immediate thoughts.
Yeah, good take. He's definitely.
I'd agree with you, John. My one worry about Tuchel is I felt he left Chelsea under a bit of a
He did
histrionic cloud. Really, there was a spat he had with, and I forget who it was. I should have done my research. Was it
Todd Bowley, the owner? No, was it the owner?
It was just
Todd Bowley?
after the game where he
Conte.
basically
Conte at Spurs.
Conte.
They had a handshake.
Ah, yes, yeah.
The handshake gate. And I know he wasn't necessarily. I mean, Conte can start a fight in a telephone booth, but he did seem to be very highly strung. And I have the same worries, really, that unlike Southgate, who could basically absorb to a degree most of the brickbats that come his way because England haven't scored in the first 10 minutes of a game or are only eking their way through a tournament. I don't know. I'm a bit worried about that as well. But other than that, I'm quite excited to see what he does with the England team. I don't care whether he's English at all. I don't. I think the only point there, I suppose, is the stats show that nobody's won the World Cup with a foreign manager. No country has ever done that. And the only team to have won a major, either the Euros or World Cup was Greece with a foreign manager. So, but does that matter? Because that's just a stat that will change at some point. Greece did it.
Germany have produced the second highest amount of World Cup winning managers, and now we have one. Do you know what I mean? So that you can flip that. England have only had one World Cup winning manager. Germany have had 4, right? So maybe they'll have 5 now. Yeah. What do you think, Owen? What do you think?
I think there's lots of really good points there. So, John, I completely agree about the brittleness. Tuchel. He's quite an abrasive character at Dortmund and PSG and Chelsea. He's had various falling outs, which have sort of put a bit of a stain on an otherwise quite successful period at all these clubs. And yes, he got the risk that, England lose a few games, media get on his back, and he throws his hands up and says, well, let's make a war, let's make some enemies. But for me, I think there's something really special about having a world-class manager right now managing some genuinely brilliant English players. Like, we've had big name managers before. So, Sven-Göran Eriksson had quite a big reputation coming into the job. Fabio Capello, multiple Champions League winner, serious acclaim to his name. But they were a little bit after their success. And they were, in Capello's case, certainly a few years removed from the actual story, like days of the early 2000s and 90s. So they were a little bit antiquated. Tuchel's, a man from the modern age. He's got major success this decade with players actually who still be in England setup, right? Quite a few of those Chelsea players will know him and will have experience with his tactics and his pragmatism and his style. And so I think for me, if we can look past all the other sort of noise, there's something really brilliant about having someone, for as much as I really appreciated Southgate, probably not the world's best tactician, probably not the sharpest football mind. Tuchel's someone who I think in a World Cup semi-final or even a World Cup final, he's got that extra insight and quality. How are we going to get Jude Bellingham, Phil Foden, Bukayo Saka and so on to make the move against a world-class team and turn a decent tournament into a World Cup win for the first time in 6 decades it will be in 2026, 60 years exactly. Who knows? Eh?
And so do you think, what are the tactical differences between Southgate's style and Tuchel's style then? Because I think, what we were crying out for, or what a lot of people said that we needed, was this exciting, expansive football where we would pile on all of our best midfielders.
Lee Carsley.
And then Lee Carsley tried that and it didn't work. But I don't. That's what a lot of people seem to think we needed, even though Southgate's supposedly safe style of football did get us further than almost any other manager. But is Tuchel different from that? From my eyes, he's also a practical manager. He's not necessarily going to try and develop a exciting ideology of English football. He's just going to kind of maybe try and beat the team in front of him, and that might sometimes be safe football as well. I don't know. Maybe you guys disagree with that.
Yeah,
I think that. Oh, go ahead, John. Sorry.
Yeah. I don't think. I mean, ever since Kevin Keegan and tactical ineptitude of that nature, charging up the pitch and conceding 3 at the back, that kind of thing, I don't think that style in international management works at all. Now, of course, the best international sides like Spain, Italy in the past, others, Germany, can put on a lot of pressure, can win well, are not into the Southgate mode of backtracking as soon as you've scored a goal, so the rest of the game is absolutely nightmarish to watch, that kind of thing. So I hope Tuchel's somewhere in the middle, that he's a better tactician, as colleagues have said, that he does play to the strengths, that he uses that talent that the England team undoubtedly have, but he's also careful not to, walk into a trap in international games. I think he's probably got those qualities. So that's me.
See, I think that Southgate has done a little bit of an injustice to say that, firstly, his teams weren't entertaining because, at the World Cup, in his first World Cup, best World Cup England have done for ages.
Agreed.
The first one, yeah.
And then even 2022, we beat Iran 6-2. Now, irritatingly, I was working that day, so I missed all the goals, which is a bit of a shame because how often do you see a team score 6 goals at a World Cup?
And we were 6-1 at one point. It was,
Exactly, right? Like, there were loads of really great games. It's the most recent Euros that has, I think, a bit of recency bias has sort of clouded our vision of most of the Southgate era. And part of that, in my view, was because there was so much pressure to add in this influx of really great young players, and a lot of the established, reliable players that he'd used over his sort of tenure, so your Hendersons, your Rashfords, your Sterlings, they were sort of either injured or falling out of favour or sort of not really wanted by the wider football public. There would have been upset if Grealish and Rashford and Henderson had all been in the squad. So you've got lots of external factors which sort of threw Southgate's preparation a bit out of sync and then made for rather tedious football at times. But to link that back to Thomas Tuchel, I think because he is a manager that has a way of winning, he knows that ultimately you've got to mix pragmatism with philosophy and style, with the here and now, to be able to get a tournament victory. He will be able to coach the players to be able to use the football nicely and still show off their talents, but also won't be afraid to say, actually, we can't fit all of Bellingham, Saka, Foden, Eze, Palmer all into one lineup. So actually, one of you is going on the bench. I think Southgate's problem...
Eze goes on the bench.
Out of them, yes, certainly. But I think Southgate's problem was also he had all these, he felt a little bit stuck with who to drop. And that's part of his issue is he was a bit... He's not very good in the moment. He makes substitutions far too late. He's too loyal almost to players that he's backed because he's a good people manager, but he's not tactically astute enough to say, okay, one of these players will not fit into my current setup, so win this game now. You're going to have to come out. Tuchel won't be afraid to say, okay, I can only play one of these players in the middle, so I'm going to have to drop someone. Yeah, he's not ruthless enough. I think Tuchel's, for as much as Tuchel has been a bit abrasive sometimes, that ruthlessness is almost what you need in a sort of, okay, we need to make a tough decision. Let's make one now, and we're going to win a game because of it.
I agree with you as well about the recency bias. I was one of Southgate's biggest defenders, I suppose, until this year's Euros, when actually we were dreadful, I thought. But we still got to the final. But the World Cup of 2022, we won 6-2 against Iran. We beat Wales 3-0. We beat
Senegal
3-0. Thank you. And we only lost to France. We dominated the game against France and were very, very unlucky. And France went on to reach the final. It's one of England's best World Cups, actually, in living memory. And we looked like a very, very good team. We didn't look like a very, very good team for a lot of the Euros this year. And I think that's where everything has really turned for Southgate. And that's become his legacy, which is a bit of a shame because we never used to reach finals. We never used to reach semi-finals, you know. But sorry,
yeah,
we've
I
gone off
get
the topic now.
I think that's right, and there is a recency bias, but I'm afraid I think from the second half against Croatia in 2018, when that team has been under pressure against Italy in 2021, you know, you talk about those huge footballing powers of Iran in 2022. As soon as they come up against somebody good, the backpedaling started. And it started very early. So I don't quite agree with the recency bias. There's a bit of that.
I think also Southgate, what he brought wasn't necessarily the tactical nous to get past these big sides, and I think that became, you know, his failings became quite evident in the last tournament. Even though he got us to the final, every time we went ahead, it almost felt as if they didn't know what to do with that. They didn't know how to really play against a world-class opposition.
And looked terrible in the final, apart from 10 minutes, basically. I think.
I kind of think that what he did bring to the table was that diplomatic presence and that kind of that presence which could allow the English players to maybe express themselves without having the pressure of the whole of the country upon them to win for something finally. And I don't think that any manager has done that previously. But what I'm hoping with Tuchel is that actually he's just the guy to get us over the line in that way. So I do think he's a short-term appointment, and I guess he's basically been brought in just to win the World Cup. What I am worried about, this does feel to me a little bit like when Spurs had Pochettino for a number of years. He got them really playing good football, but never quite got them over the line. And then Daniel Levy thought, you know what, we just need a guy to come in and just win us a trophy. Now that Pochettino's done all this hard work, let's get Mourinho, a kind of a moody but world-class manager who can win a trophy. And it does feel a little bit like that. And I feel like it could blow up in a similar way.
Though I think there's a really interesting angle there, which we haven't almost, you sort of naturally overlooked, right? Because we're all English, we all think, yes, you know, we're going to, here's our world-class manager, we're going to finally win this World Cup, and we're going to see Harry Kane lift the trophy in America. But there's also the same thoughts happening right now in France, in Germany, Spain, Brazil. All these teams have amazing players. And I think linking to our next point, really, the sort of way that English nationalism and nationalist sentiment affects how we view this appointment, there's a bit of English exceptionalism, because Tuchel is a fantastic manager, but only one manager can win the World Cup. Only one team can win the World Cup. And to some extent, Tuchel could do everything right. He could get England playing the best football ever. He could, we could win every game up to the final, like 4 or 5-0. And then lose the final to another team who are equally as good, because Spain have a fantastic group of players. They've got a really great system. Their teams are winning every under, the age tier tournaments. Women's teams are doing really well. There's like so much good stuff happening there as well. They could just as easily say, well, we've got the best team. We deserve to win. Yeah. We're the best. And then when Spain do win that, is it a failing of Tuchel? Is it necessarily England expecting to win as our expectancy that sort of throws things up a little bit? If you were to put England's team on paper over the last few years, it's good, but there are still areas that you might say, okay, well, is this the best team in the world? Should they automatically be expected to win? Perhaps it's a case that Southgate, as we sort of just hinted at, like with Tottenham and Pochettino, Southgate had been punching at a level and above a level, but not quite able to get to the top because England might not be the best. Can Tuchel overcome the expectancies always expects to win, despite the fact that they don't have the record to demonstrate they should?
I think that's right. The impression as well. I mean, I think that's right, and I don't. But I get the impression as well that even if England did win it, if they didn't win it well, he would still.
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah,
if they only won it on penalties or with a last podcast winner, they'd be saying they were rubbish for most of that final.
Yeah.
You know, it there's a kind of why can't we win the World Cup with? I think Owen's dropped off. He's back.
I know he's there.
No, it's getting a bit dark outside as well.
Yeah. Why can't we win the World Cup? Look at the players we've got, and well, other teams have players as well. You know, it's yeah.
Can I ask? Do you? So just if, you know, Owen kind of hinted at the next kind of point that we wanted to talk about. What do you think this means for England, the English national football in general? The fact is this a failing that we can't produce our own English managers? And you know, I also don't really. I don't care that he's German. I don't care that he's not English. I'm certainly not nationalistic. I really, you know, but I do think that perhaps the idea about national football should be the best of one nation against the best of another nation. And are we not, by hiring a coach who isn't representative of our nation, are we kind of, I don't know, playing with the rules a little bit there? I don't know. I mean, it maybe that kind of, yeah. Are we diluting it slightly?
It's a double pronged sword, isn't it? Because on the one hand, I absolutely do think there is a big problem with English coaches and the lack of at the top level. And there's a few factors to that. I mean, I think the fact that we as an island are history of England and the UK has been a bit naturally exclusionary because of you know, here's Europe and here's the British and we're separate. Just logistically, because it's an island nation, it becomes a bit defensive against sort of the warring nations of Europe. English managers tend to only speak English. You get a few exceptions, like Graham Potter can speak other languages. He's worked abroad. You know, you get a few. Is it Will Still who's in France at the moment?
Yeah.
But for the most part, they coach in England. They speak English, and so they don't have that continental experience that managers coming to the Premier League will naturally have gained through their, you know, being able to speak another language. So it is, I think, an indictment on the way that funding hasn't really happened. You know, you've got the cuts to grassroots sport, the fact that so many schools don't have the adequate resources to employ proper coaches and stuff. But on the flip side, I think sociologically, the fact that Thomas Tuchel has lived in England, can speak English, knows English players to an intimate level, and is a fantastic football coach, should be to some extent more important than a nationality, which is ultimately just a chance, right? Like the fact he was born in Germany isn't some ideological statement; it's more just a fact of life. And whilst I do, like, to some extent, given the way that the modern world is, where, you know, we aren't sort of isolated pockets, but a global community, especially in Europe, where, you know, people, for as much as people like to pretend we're an island in the middle of the Pacific Atlantic Ocean, we are ultimately part of Europe. And for me, Thomas Tuchel, if I was to sit and have a conversation with him, other than noticing perhaps his accent and maybe a few different experiences in life, I don't see there'd be that much different. It'd be two people who enjoy football and know the game, and so to me, it shouldn't matter, really. It shouldn't matter, and it's only the political world around it, I think, that makes it matter.
But then why don't we just go and get a bunch of German players as well? Then do you know what I mean? Like why is that different?
Against the rules.
Yeah. Okay. But yeah, I do understand your point there, and again, I'm really not someone who's particularly interested in kind of this English nationalist idea, but I just think there is a part of me which thinks that we should have, as a representation in an international tournament, representatives of the country that they are supposed to represent, I guess.
But part of it's the wellspring of what kind of nationalism, isn't it? So if it's an inclusive, lightly worn civic nationalism of the type that perhaps you could argue, although there'd be people who didn't think this, that maybe Spain or France or Germany, with all the lessons of the Second World War brought home to them, then fine. English football and English nationalism, which are closely intertwined, is much more chauvinistic, which is why there's an immediate reaction of the type that it's not just the Daily Mail, it was all sorts of people were saying, well, we've got to be able to produce an English manager of an English team. And it's deeply woven into the culture of English football, that kind of thing. And the exceptionalism that other colleagues, Owen and co were talking about earlier on, which is nonsense, isn't it? Because English exceptionalism in football, really? 60 years on?
Yeah.
But that reaction is written through it like a stick of rock, I think, football. I don't think there's any avoiding it. I mean, it is a nationalist concept that our team play their team over there or this team over there. And I'm not sure we're going to be able to tame it or make it any more acceptable. And that's why the extreme reaction to Thomas Tuchel came from, the usual suspects. That will never change, I don't think. It's just, we saw it through Brexit. We've seen it through 101 different things. It just reflects, unfortunately, a mainstream strand in British culture, English culture.
Though equally, I think Gareth Southgate had Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank in his coaching team, and no one, he's obviously Dutch, but no one said, oh, well, why is he here? He's not English. I think
the manager.
Because, well, exactly, right. Manager's the big figurehead, but I feel as though, you make very good points there, John. I do agree, but I do think to some extent it can change because nations, whilst of course, as you say, right, me saying I want England to win and not Spain and not France, ultimately, whilst I'm not some fervent nationalist, is a premise of nationalism, right? Like I'm supporting England because I have accepted the premise that nations matter and I am from that. But in the same way that it's, if you can recognise that sport is a bit of fun and that in real life I wouldn't think, oh, well, I am better because I'm English and not Spanish. Like, to some extent, that is okay because it's like in the sport. And so in the same way, if we can accept that, the English national team setup will have people of non-English origins in mechanisms like Hasselbank, then the fact that Thomas Tuchel is the person who wants to come and help manage them shouldn't be such a contradiction of or it shouldn't ring alarm bells. Though I do think as well there was less outcry for Tuchel than perhaps Sven and Fabio got initially in their reaction, because he's now our third foreign manager and a fourth even if you include Lee Carsley. And to some extent, because now, in some ways, that's a progress in itself, right? You couldn't imagine, say, after 1966, Alf Ramsey not qualifying for 74, England saying, right, we need to get a best manager from abroad. It would be like you lose a job at the FA if you suggested that. Whereas now it's like people not only want Thomas Tuchel, but they're saying Guardiola, Arsene Wenger, Mourinho. Like, there's more because of the progress of even in times like these, because of the way people sort of just used to living in times of less national importance, there's an acceptance that, okay, well, if we want to win, let's get a really good manager in like Thomas Tuchel.
So it's moving, you think? Yes, maybe.
Yeah, a little bit. Much as for as vociferous as some parts of our media are, and they absolutely are, and they shouldn't be ignored, there's also, I think, more aware, like people are less likely to like balk at the idea of Thomas Tuchel now than I think they would have been if it had been made after Bobby Robson in 1990, say. Like the fact that England and Germany, for instance, play each other, and there might have been like you're less likely to hear 2 World Wars and 1 World Cup now. You're less likely to even in terms of like racism and stuff, like Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank, it was a black man. There's plenty of Ashley Cole was in England set up, I think, recently. You couldn't imagine 40 years ago, there being any black managers or managerial roles.
Well, look at the big deal when Viv Anderson made his debut in 1978. I mean, John and I remember that, and it was the first black player to play for England, and it was a huge deal. It was made to be, massive. I mean, now think it just seems very, very. Were totally different times. That was 1978, I think.
And that's the. Sorry, go ahead, Dan.
No, I was going to say. So we kind of talked about the nationalistic side of then international football, and yes, I think for probably us here in our with our maybe slightly woke sentimentalities, or I wouldn't describe them as woke, but we would perhaps have our nationalistic pride of following English football within a vacuum, which doesn't actually equate to how we actually feel about our country on the international stage. And what I mean by that is that I'm not remotely a nationalistic person. I really don't care about waving the flag and being kind of overtly proud of being English at the moment, but I still usually really want England to do well in tournaments. I'm a really big supporter of the English national team, but I do worry that the sense of nationalism for England when they play football also bleeds into this far right nationalism, teeth gnashing kind of representation of nationalism that I really don't like.
I think it's the other way around, Dan. I think that strand and that culture and that English nationalism at its most basic has bled into football for sure.
Yeah, that's true.
100%. I think the far right view of everything. Actually, I think the fascists like to latch on to culturally significant things and say, "Well, this is ours now,"
Right.
Which I think is part of the success of Southgate as well. A manager that says, our team is for everyone. If you're in England and support the team, we're going to be socially conscious. We're going to get rid of this sort of toxic culture in the game for lots of years and teams in the past. And so part of the reason, I think that might be why I'm slightly reticent to be overly lambasting of Southgate, because for as much as he has flaws as a coach, he was someone who actually said, okay, well, we're going to actually think a little bit about Black Lives Matter. And
He did that well. We're
going to say something about the racist abuse that happened after the 2020-2021 final. And so, to some extent, Tuchel might flare up the far right crowd, but the wider public will look beyond that, and it will be almost like a rejection of, to some extent, visually, having a diverse and multinational setup within the national team says, okay, well, this clearly shows the far right are not some, domineering force in England. It's not as though football is the far right expression. It's that far right people make comments about football and doesn't have to reflect anything. My worry would be if Tuchel does not immediately perform well, that makes the far right a bit louder. But then, as John, you sort of alluded to, I feel like they will always, no matter what happens, try and claim the narrative. So they have to just be pushed to a side and moved on from, right?
Yeah. I think, well, unless anyone has any further add-on points, maybe we could start thinking about doing the quiz soon.
So we're all pro Tom. We're calling him Tommy Tuchel to make him
Tommy
more...
Tuchel. Yeah.
I'm actually really excited. No, I think genuinely, I think England, for as much you really like Southgate, great memories with the team, but it was time for him to move on. And now we've got someone who genuinely could take us to the next level and win a tournament.
I thought
let's hope so.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah, fingers crossed.
But there are 32 teams in the World Cup. Well,
48 now.
What?
Is it 48 now? Yeah, it is.
48. God, I lose track now of how many. So, in other words, not winning it is the most likely outcome. So, Anyway, so Dan, do you want to move on to the quiz?
Yeah, let's do the quiz. But I'm handing this over to you now because you're the quiz master, aren't you? I've also got like a little Christmas quiz banner that we can put at the bottom.
Hooray.
Yeah.
So I think the way we do this, and hopefully it's just a bit of fun. There's some facts from this year, some from other years that are relevant to clubs that we support, etc. I would hope, and so I would imagine. So the way I envisage it is, I'll read out a question. You all just write down an answer if you have it, and then we go around and see what you've got, and without Googling. Otherwise, there's not much point to it. And then maybe a little bit of discussion, and then move on to the next question. Okay. So the first question, there's a theme for the first three, and basically a warm-up question. If I give you 3 players from an FA Cup final team, and I want the year and the team.
Christ. This is such a you question to do.
I know, but So the first one is Mullery, Moore, and Mitchell.
Oh, Christ's sake.
Okay.
Can I also just say, is there going to be a generational advantage to these questions?
Not all of them. No,
Okay,
not all
right.
of them. It's just a mix. They're not all of this type.
Right.
So
okay.
that was Mullery, Moore, and Mitchell. I'll go on to the next one.
All right. Actually, I could. Okay.
So I want the year and the team.
Year and the team.
Yeah. The second one is Grealish, Smith, Smiley.
Presumably not Jack.
Yeah, can't be correct, Jack.
Grealish, Smith, Smiley.
Owen, have you got any idea?
Oh, I'm afraid.
By the way, those are 2 different teams. By the way.
Yes.
Yeah.
Can I? Is it a point each for the year and the team?
Yeah.
Okay.
So all these players play for one team.
No. So Mullery, Moore, and Mitchell were in one team in one cup final.
And can I also ask, are they all players?
Yes.
Okay. Right. So there's no coaches.
No, these are players in the team lineup for that cup final. So there's 3 from that final, that team in that final. Then the second one was a different cup final, different team.
Yeah.
Grealish, Smith, and Smiley. The third one is Gray, Thorne, and Barber.
Gray, Thorne, and Barber. I'll be honest with you. I'm taking a stab at the dark.
Right.
John, how are you doing with these questions?
Yeah, I'm not sure about 2. I think I've certainly got 3.
All right, Dad, I'm doing the questions for next year's quiz. They're all going to be about TikTok dances, and you're not going to understand any of them. So, all right.
Okay.
All right.
So,
I have no idea. So.
Number 1, John, do you have any ideas?
I thought 1975 Fulham.
Yeah.
I put 1975 Spurs.
Owen?
I went for 1964 West Ham.
So it was Fulham. It's 1975.
Oh, no, Owen. What year was it?
1975.
I thought it was a red herring. I thought, well, he's put Fulham in to try and lure me
Alan
off.
Mullery, Bobby Moore, and John
That's
Mitchell.
terrible.
Yeah.
So do I get a point for getting the right year?
Yes, put yourself down for a point.
So you get a point for the year and the team. So I've got
I've got 2.
Nothing for me.
Yeah.
I'll be honest. That 1975, I figured it would be Mullery just purely because I don't know. I just figured it's 70s. I was a bit of a guess, 1975, but
Lost 2-0 to West Ham, I think.
I wasn't born for 20 years.
Okay, all right. So the second one. Any ideas, Dan? Grealish, Smith, Smiley.
All right. I said 1984 Arsenal.
Crystal Palace, 1989.
John?
I put 1983 Brighton.
You're right. It was 1983.
What?
Well then, John.
No, that's good, isn't it?
Grealish, Smith
Right.
must score, and Neil Smiley.
Ah, Smith must score. Yeah, again, I wasn't born.
So Dan, we've been exposed as poor supporters
have.
of our clubs, really, aren't we?
Owen, next year we're doing the quiz. Me and you are doing the quiz, and nothing is going to get through this generation.
Okay, the third one. Any ideas? Gray, Thorne, and Barber. Owen?
Well, I know.
Yeah.
1990 Palace.
Yeah.
Well, Aston Villa 1982 is not going to be right then, is it?
Yeah, I don't have it correct. I just guessed 1954 Liverpool.
It's 1990 Palace. So in other words, I've got a team for Fulham, Brighton, and
you did say you did say you were going to.
And
Are all
sadly,
did you collect all of the questions from the retirement home around the corner, or did you?
Okay,
All right.
we'll move on to 2024 at the moment. The next question is, what follows in the sequence of Serbia, Denmark, Slovenia, Slovakia?
Okay,
Oh,
that's a bit nicer. I've got that one.
what are they? So Serbia,
Denmark, Slovenia, Slovakia.
So it's Serbia, Denmark, Slovakia. That would be the second round quarterfinal. I know the semi-final. What was the quarterfinal? Can you give me just a second? Let me think about this.
Dan, you're working out loud.
Yeah, but I'm assuming that everyone else knows the answer, and it's just me who's thick.
No, I don't.
All right, let's hope. I've got to gain 3 points on you, John. I'm 3 behind, so I've got some ground to catch up.
Yeah. All right. I think I've got it. All right.
Okay, everybody ready?
Yeah.
John,
Yep.
any ideas?
I've put Spain, but I'm not confident.
Ooh.
I put. Oh, sorry. You go.
I've put Switzerland.
Yeah, I put Switzerland.
It's the European Championship games England played, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes.
And we played Switzerland after Slovakia. You're right.
Yeah. I was gonna. Yeah, I couldn't remember briefly if it was the Netherlands.
One I've forgotten, so no.
All right. One. I thought.
One point back.
Are you doing? I thought you were doing like 3 questions and then we ask for each question.
No. That was the first round.
Okay. All right.
So, David, this is just for clarity. There's two points for each of the first 3 questions and just 1 point for that one, yeah?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, fine.
Okay, so we're 5 points behind.
I must admit, I
didn't
accurately write down who you're keeping your own scores.
I've got 2 points.
Yeah,
I've got 2 points.
I'll trust you to keep your own score. So the next one in the sequence is probably a little bit more difficult. It's another sequence one. Croatia, Italy, Albania, Georgia.
Oh, God.
Can I ask a question? Is this purely a sequence in the realms of football?
Yes.
So nothing to do with
it's nothing to
maps.
do with
Okay.
maps. No.
Okay.
Say
Say it again.
Croatia, Italy, Albania, Georgia. I think you've got to be a bit of an anorak to know this one.
Croatia, Italy,
Albania,
Georgia, Albania, Georgia. There's something that rings a bell. Okay.
Excuse me.
It's very closely linked to the question before.
Yeah.
All right.
Give me a moment,
okay. Give
please.
me another second. Then Croatia.
It's the Albania.
I know. I think I know what this is. Croatia, Italy, Albania, Georgia, and then what's next?
Yeah.
Right. Can't be that.
Okay.
Call a halt on it. Yeah.
All right.
No, just one more moment. I'm almost there.
Owen's Googling.
Yeah, I'm no cheat.
Dan?
No,
Can I? So I think this is England's next set of fixtures. Maybe. Oh no, it's not, is it? It's not because we play Albania first. I was going to say Croatia again because I was wondering if that was our qualifying group. So then it would be we play those four and then we play them again, but it's not, is it? All right. Can I was going to guess Hungary until I guessed that, but yeah, whatever. All right.
John, what did you put?
I put France, but I'm not confident.
I think this is teams ranked at the Euros based on where they finished. From a guess, I think Belgium.
Dan, you said Hungary, also, but the answer was none of you got it. The answer was Germany, and it was Spain's route. To
of course.
Yeah, well, I thought it was, but I couldn't remember who.
Yeah, I
team
must
was.
admit, that's why I said you've got to. Yeah, I had to look it up. So
no, that's a good question. I mean, I know I know England are playing Hungary next, so Albania next. So I was thinking that maybe that was our next fixtures, but
I should have got that.
No, I kind of knew it as the progression through the Euros, but I just couldn't remember who it was.
yeah.
So the next question is also to do with the Euros. What nationalities were the 3 top goal scorers of Euro 2024? I won't ask you for the names because that's quite hard, but just the nationalities of the 3. There were 3 that shared the top goal scorer.
Do we have to get all 3 of them?
I give you a point for each.
Is it 1 for each one, right?
Yeah.
Oh, right.
I've got 2 of them.
Really? Oh shoot!
I haven't.
Oh, I swear I actually. Oh, I can hear my mum arriving in the front door in the house. All right, I'll say.
What was it? What was the last one?
Right.
It wasn't a very high scoring tournament, was it?
Give me a sec. Give me a sec. No, it wasn't. And
Okay, fine. I got my answers.
Oh, I haven't got mine yet.
Well, we're going to have a time.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
I've got them down. All right.
So, John,
I've put English, Kane, Watkins, Bellingham.
They all the same.
no, they weren't all the same. There were 3.
I think I've gone for Harry Kane, England. I think Cody Gakpo, Netherlands. And I have 2 in mind, but I think it is Georgia for the last one. I think they had a scorer. I think England, Netherlands, Georgia.
I wasn't sure if England actually did it or not, to be honest with you, because I couldn't think of anyone that scored. I couldn't think of anyone who scored a lot of goals for England, really. So, but now that Owen says Cody Gakpo, I do think that's a good answer. But obviously, that's not what I put down. So I said Spain, England, France.
Okay. The answer is English. That was Kane. Germany, Musiala,
Oh yeah.
and Georgia.
Oh, yes.
The Georgian fella, Mikotadze, also got 3 goals. It was a very low bar.
Wasn't it? Didn't Cody Gakpo?
Did Gakpo not get?
He only got 2 according to the.
Right. Okay.
So sorry. You're keeping your own scores, aren't you? So
I've got 3 points. I'm
got
losing.
3 as well.
You've each got 1 for England, and Owen got 2 because he put the Georgian.
I got Kane as well. So
I couldn't remember the Georgian player's name. I was torn between. I knew it was one of the countries that wasn't quite as prolific. I was torn between them and Slovakia. So,
John, I don't think you get an extra point for saying it was Kane, though. Does he get an extra point for that? I didn't think that was part of the game.
Oh,
No,
right.
just the nationality. Just the nationalities.
Okay, so I got 1.
so are you on 6 points?
I figured nobody would remember the Georgian fella's name, even if you knew that it was the Georgian fella who finished top. So,
yeah.
Okay.
I'm on 3 points. You're on 3 as well, Owen, right?
Yeah.
John, how much are you on?
7.
7 points.
Oh,
right.
so he's got more than both of us combined.
Can me and Owen combine our points?
I got off to a good start, but
one point for the next question.
Last couple of questions.
Which English player scored in the FA Cup final this year?
Okay. I know that one.
I have an idea. It's either him or him.
You're right.
Is it him or is it him?
That feels like ages ago, that final. Like, I feel like
it does.
I think
terrible memory for this stuff.
There's a whole topic into itself, isn't it? Manchester United's world of chaos.
Indeed.
Yeah. So it's a Man United player. Okay.
I've written mine down already, so I won't go back.
I've written mine down already.
Yeah.
Well.
Okay, so we're ready. John?
Rashford. Marcus Rashford.
Owen?
Kobe Mainu.
I put Mainu down, but I wasn't sure if it was him or Rashford, but I'm pretty sure it's Mainu.
It's Kobe Mainu.
Yes.
Well done.
All right, we're beating John now. Combined teams are beating John.
So the next question
out the team was a bit silly.
Is being the English player, when and who was the last English player to score in an FA Cup final?
Oh God.
Ooh.
Last year it was him.
Who won it that year?
If you didn't know this, Dad can name the winner of every FA Cup final and who scored since about 1890. So I should have predicted that all of his
1890.
After about 2000, I lost interest in the FA Cup personally.
Yeah.
But not the 2016 final, John.
Best forgotten, I think.
Who won it that year?
Man
U.
Right, I'm gonna. Okay.
Wait. All right. Just give. All right. I'm gonna say. You know what? I'll say that. I'll say that.
Okay.
I'm forgetting you even won. I've got a gap. It wasn't them.
It's the last English player.
Okay, no, I've got my answer.
Okay. Ready to go?
Yeah.
Owen?
Raheem Sterling.
Yeah, of course he did. What year?
2019, I think. Man City beat Watford.
I'm very certain I got this wrong. I said 2012 Ben Watson for Wigan. Because I think that was in 2012. That's the only time I could think of an English player scoring.
John?
Yeah. I was going to say Jason Punch in 2016, but of course it won't be that. And I didn't write it down. I wrote down Sterling as well, but I couldn't remember the year.
Okay, so you get a point for Sterling.
Right.
And it was 2019, Owen. It was the 6-0 Watford thrashing.
So I get 2 points of the year as well.
You get 2, yes. Owen.
You get 2, yeah. I couldn't remember the year.
John gets 1 and Dan gets none, and he also didn't even get the Ben Watson year right.
Did I not? Is it 2011?
13.
2013. Okay.
Wow, that feels like closer than 11 years ago now. Wow.
Yeah, amazing.
Another question for 2024. Who won the African Cup of Nations in 2024?
Ooh.
Oh,
I think I know that one.
Yeah. Do we get a bonus point? No.
No bonus points. You just either know who won it or not.
Yeah, I think I do, yeah.
Okay.
Ready? Is it Ivory Coast?
Yeah, I've got Ivory Coast.
John?
Cote d'Ivoire.
Well,
yeah.
So John gets an extra point for the French. No, you all get a point.
Did they? Well, am I right in thinking they sacked their manager halfway through the tournament and then still went on to win it?
Yeah,
Was that
I
this year?
I thought that was Ghana. I thought Ghana.
I don't
sacked
remember
their
that.
manager.
Oh, Ghana
Yeah.
sacked their manager, didn't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the young player of that tournament was Simon Adingra of Brighton for Ivory Coast as well. That's why I know.
So a bit of a shoehorning in there, Dan.
Yeah.
Right, next question. Sheffield United were relegated in 2024, having conceded 104 league goals. Which team scored 13 of those 104?
Oh,
wow.
Ooh.
I thought you were going to ask name all of those 104 goal scorers.
No, one team scored 13 of those
Yeah.
against
I think
Sheffield
I know
United.
this one.
Oh.
I think I could probably name the scorelines as well, actually, thinking about it. Well, I know the two games.
So it might be Fulham. No, it's not.
Certainly wasn't Palace.
13. Ah, wait, hang on a second. Yes, all right. Can I ask, is this Premier League
Yeah.
goals?
Yeah.
Yes.
Sheffield United win the Premier League, got relegated in 2024.
And one team scored 13 Premier League goals against them.
Yes, over the two games, obviously. But
Yeah.
Okay, that's not.
I was quite pleased Sheffield United conceded so many goals because Fulham previously had the worst record for goals conceded. We've had some atrocious campaigns.
And the next question is, who had the worst record pre? No.
Wait,
so-
I haven't figured mine out yet.
Well, yeah.
All right,
gotta-
fine. I'll
hurry you.
All right,
John?
fine. I'll put them down.
Any ideas?
I don't know, but my guess is Arsenal.
Owen?
I think it's Newcastle United.
Ah, of course, it's Newcastle
Newcastle.
United. It's Newcastle, but I didn't put Newcastle. I didn't put them. But
It
now I
was.
know it's New. Yeah,
8-0 and 5-1.
Did we have 8 different goal scorers as well?
And the 8-0 was at Bramall
Yeah.
Lane.
Yeah, I think they
Wow.
did have 8 different goal scorers. Yeah, of course it's Newcastle. I watched that flipping game. All right,
So,
gonna lose my own podcast quiz.
then, okay, next question. I couldn't shoehorn Palace into this question, so I've got another one. But this one, who has played for Newcastle, Fulham, Brighton, and Melbourne City?
Oh, God.
So that's relevant for
Newcastle,
Dan as well.
Fulham,
Melbourne City.
Brighton, and Melbourne City.
So hang on a second. Newcastle, Fulham, Brighton.
And Melbourne City.
Yeah. It's not him. Oh God.
International player.
Fulham,
Can you,
Brighton, Newcastle.
Dad? Can you close the office door?
I have.
Okay. I can hear Mum on the phone. I'm trying to think of who that could be. It's not.
No.
Wild guess from me, I'm
It's a tricky
afraid.
one.
I feel like this is on the tip of my tongue, and I really should get this.
Could it be him?
No, it's not him. It's not him, Owen.
I'll give you a clue. So, unless you've got answers.
Let's have a clue unless anyone's got him.
Okay, one final clue. He was a Northern Irish international.
Oh,
Yes. Yeah. All right. No, he didn't fucking play for Newcastle.
No, okay. I'm not sure who it is then. I'll
Okay.
say I guess.
All right. I'm going to have to. Okay, let's do this now then. So, John, any ideas?
No, not really. I've put Jerry Ryan, but it's no, I don't think so.
Owen?
I've gone for Chris Baird. No, Aaron Hughes. Sorry, Aaron Hughes, not Chris Baird.
Dan?
I know that Craig Noon has played for both Melbourne and Brighton, but he didn't play for Newcastle. In the end, I went with Keith Andrews but I'm pretty sure he's actually not Northern Irish, and I don't think he played for Newcastle. But
Well, the answer is Owen is correct. Aaron Hughes played
Yes.
for Newcastle
Oh, well
United,
all right, well done, Owen.
Brighton, and
Creeping up now.
Melbourne City.
When did he? What years were these then? What years were these? Because I was.
Well, obviously Melbourne was at the end of his career. I don't think he's there now, Dan. But he was at Fulham he was at Newcastle and Fulham in the noughts.
Yeah,
Brighton in the mid-teens.
because he was part of our big exodus that left the club when we got relegated. But
he was at Brighton when in the early Amex years.
I don't remember him. I don't remember him at all.
Okay, next question then, to make up for the fact that we couldn't get Palace into that one. On the final day of last season, Mateta scored 3 goals. He's the second Palace player, apparently, to score a Premier League hat-trick at that time. Football having started in 1992 for this statistic. So who was the first?
ooh,
Who was the first player to score a Crystal Palace hat-trick in the Premier League?
In the Premier League.
I think I might know this one as well. I think my FIFA playing days might help me with this one.
I think I might refuse to answer this question. All right, I've got a bit of a guess, but it's probably not him. It could be him. Yeah, I'll go one. Yeah. All right.
Any ideas? Everybody ready?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we'll start. We won't start with John then. We'll start with Dan.
All right. Well, I had a couple names in my mind. Obviously, I don't think it's Zaha. I was thinking maybe Jordan Ayew. In the end, I went with Andy Johnson.
Owen?
I think it's a little bit later than I think it's Yannick Bolasie.
Oh yeah.
And John?
I think it was Bolasie too against Everton, possibly.
It was Yannick Bolasie.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
It was 2015 against Sunderland. So
He was a
Right,
Sunderland.
okay.
They had some bad years, Sunderland, but Bolasie was a great player. What happened to him in the end? Where's he now? Is he still playing?
He's crap. He went to Turkey. I think he went to Turkey, didn't he?
That was Zaha.
Oh yeah.
Bolasie, didn't he go to Everton?
He did.
Yeah.
Which is probably why I got conflated with the Everton bit. He did go to Everton, but he never played as well for other clubs as he did for Palace.
Yeah.
Because you had Zaha and Bolasie on the 2 wings.
That's right.
I remember.
That's
Yeah.
Right, I've got one last question then, and then
Ooh.
Right.
how many players did Chelsea sign in the January 2024 transfer window?
Do we get a point for each one?
No, it's just I just want a number.
What about nearest? I guess yeah.
January 2024 transfer window.
Summer.
That's a guess.
Summer.
Winter.
No,
summer?
January.
Oh, January. Yeah. So
I know
okay.
you're in Melbourne.
Yeah.
I know you're in Melbourne, Dan.
Well, that is the summer here. All right, I've got the answer. I know the answer to this.
I've had to have a guess for this one.
Yeah, and me.
Can I? Yeah.
Okay, who wants to start?
I'll go for 11.
Dan saying
11.
Yeah, Owen said 11.
I'll
0.
say 5.
I'm gonna go with 0.
The answer is 0. They didn't sign a player in the January transfer window in 2024.
Yeah.
All right.
How come? Is it why?
I think they'd run out of
Brighton's money. Brighton had no more players to sell them.
I mean, I've taken that as fact because I've seen it on other quizzes when I was doing the research for this one. So, but apparently that was the case. So that's all I have at the moment.
Okay.
Well, thank you,
Quizmaster. Thank you, Quizmaster.
How many points you were keeping your own score?
Yeah.
3, 4, 5, 6.
Well, I came last with 6 points.
I have 10 points.
And so do I.
Oh, we need a tiebreaker.
All right,
Tiebreaker.
let's have a tiebreaker.
Okay.
All right.
Tie break. I got a tie break.
Whoever gets this wins it.
Wins Christmas.
And I'm back in. No, I'm joking.
Because I did have a few more questions, and I thought they're a bit. I don't know. Actually, do I have a tie break?
So nothing about Fulham, nothing about Palace, I think.
Yeah, but if I make it the one I was going to ask, it's very much. Can you remember who scored the goals in the?
I've got one.
Your
I've got one.
final.
I've got one that pops into my head.
Right. Okay. So you're not involved in the tie break, Dan. So
yeah, go for it.
Yeah. I'm just going to check when this was. Okay. In 2005, Arsenal attempted against Manchester City, famously one of the worst penalties ever in Premier League history, and it involved 2 players. Who were the 2 players involved?
Okay, I think I know this.
All right, and if you both know the answer, then we can ask another question, I guess.
Okay.
All right.
Penalties, this.
All right, John, you go first.
I'll go first.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I'll give a stab at it. Henri and Perez.
I've got the same thing. Robert Pires and Thierry Henry.
Damn it! Yeah, that is correct. You both got that correct. All right, Dan.
Retention.
Can't be separated.
um,
How about a draw?
No, I think we need a winner.
There must be a winner. Okay.
Okay. Here's one. Against which country last year did Harry Kane break the English goal scoring record?
Ooh.
Oh, I know this. Yeah, I know this.
I don't think I do know this. Last year.
Yeah. So which team did he score against? Which meant that he then became the English greatest. Yeah.
Oh, I think I might be losing this on this one. You know.
Well, that's what I think too.
I can't have a Palace fan winning this.
Who's in that group? Okay, we'll have to go for them.
All right.
I don't think I'm right.
Owen, you go first, so maybe John gets his...
Bulgaria.
John.
Spain.
No.
Was Italy?
Neither of us. Yeah.
Okay.
Was it in qualifying? Of course, World Cup qualifying. Yeah.
Yeah. So here's another one then. One more. Which player is the first? Oh, okay. No, this is one that's come up in a quiz a couple of questions that I've seen while I was doing a bit of research for this. Which team would have won the league last year if only English players were allowed to? If only goals scored by English players counted?
Ooh,
blimey!
Actually, that might not be a good tiebreak either, because I don't know whether you'd get that one either. We could go on for it.
I've thought of one.
Right. Any idea?
Okay.
It's probably a bit too obscure. Chelsea.
All right. No, I've got Villa.
Oh, were we not going to guess?
No. Sorry, I panicked.
What was your guess, Chelsea, Owen?
Mine was Aston Villa.
And mine.
You could have claimed it then. All right.
I really think this should be declared.
I think we'll call it a draw.
All right. I got one more. Okay, one more. All right. In 2006, Zinedine Zidane, in his final ever match in football, was sent off after headbutting an Italian player in the World Cup final. Who was that Italian player?
I know.
John, do you know?
No, well, I can remember the whole incident, and if I had 5 minutes, I'd probably remember the player, but no, I don't.
Which means I've got the open goal. It's Marco Materazzi.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Yes, it was. Well done, Owen. Well done, Owen.
Commiserations, John. I feel like it's really a shared title. But
yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, I think we were very close. Yes.
All right, well then let's close up the pod and the quiz. Thank you, quizmaster. If anyone is still listening after an hour and 10 minutes of podding, we've got some more episodes coming in 2025. Hopefully, I think Owen's going to be doing a really good episode on the far right in football in England at the moment. John, I guess you're welcome to join that as well.
Thank you.
We should have some interesting guests. But yeah, I hope everyone has a nice Christmas. I hope Santa brings everything that you guys want. And hopefully we see some more Brighton wins. So yeah, Merry Christmas, everyone.
Merry Christmas.
Back to you.
Yeah.
Cheerio.